Hello and welcome to
Jesus.
Popcorn and Plot
All
Holes.
right. See, I told you last week that you spent way too much energy. Now this is what we get.
Well,
You gotta get your electrolytes back up.
Spencer's not here, so
You sound
I'm
like
gonna go
Eeyore.
Yeah, you do
real
like sound
low.
like Eeyore.
This
A
is
promotion.
Popcorn and Plot Holes, and even though Spencer has abandoned us like some sort of Chris, we're gonna persevere
Oof.
with Chris.
But I'm here.
That's right, and
Can't do
also
that. Can't do that to me.
Luciano. I tried to go that energy. You wouldn't let me. This week, we watched Furiosa, a Mad Max story.
Saga.
Damn it. I thought I had it. Saga.
It's not your fault. The name is dumb.
Yes. That is the first question. This is the prequel to the, 2020, 2012?
2015, I think. Yeah.
2015.
Yeah,
Something
no.
like that.
No rush. No, I got there. When it
Yeah,
needed to.
2015, because I remember them saying it took 9 years for the prequel to come out. Yeah.
Listen, I mean, is that
Wow.
the right way to go about making a prequel waiting 9 years?
No.
I don't know.
No.
No.
Probably not. Well, let's start where we always start, in the fun zone. What was your favorite part of this movie?
The war rig. Hands down. Just them putting it together, the way that they did it, like the little carvings, like everybody's fucking dying of radiation poisoning and thirst and not having enough food, and they're carving fucking Baroque like drawings on the fucking tankers. I'm here for it. And no, it was just a cool, like, you know how in Star Wars you get the cool ships? Like in this setting we get the cool vehicles, and even the monster truck wasn't as cool as the war rig. That war rig was awesome. It was by far my favorite thing in this movie.
To plus one that, I liked Dementis's motor chariot, bike chariot.
I was so
Biker.
I was so pissed off at it.
Bariot.
Bike it,
Bikeet.
motor chariot. There.
Motor chariot. Like, I understand the concept of like turning it, but like, how did he get it to stop?
Exactly.
It seemed like he leaned back. How do you get it to speed up?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I was fascinated by it.
I
The
was.
rule of cool drives that. Motor chariot.
It runs on the rule of cool.
Yeah, 100%.
It don't need no gasoline.
No.
It runs on Dennis Hopper fuel.
Wow. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Think about that. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Bowser.
You know, King Bowser.
I think those are both two very good answers. I think for me, I'm going to pick Dementis because nothing brought me more delight than Thor being able to revert to his native accent
Oh, I was so glad about that too.
and just ham it up. The hammiest, like, I think he took every trick he learned from Taika Waititi
Yeah.
to ham up Dementis the way he did.
He was
It
like.
takes a skilled hand to do.
I'm surprised he didn't put on more weight with how much scenery he chewed on that movie. It was glorious.
It's protein only, my
Yeah,
good man.
you can tell he was having fun, which is like honestly
yeah.
half the battle.
It's a joy when people get to stretch themselves in a way that they're capable of. Like his comedic chops or his range has always been good.
Yeah.
I don't think I had ever seen Chris Hemsworth play a villain. He did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I can't think of all the movies I've seen him in. He's been
The hero, right? Or
on the side
yeah.
of
the
good.
protagonist at the very least.
Yeah.
Not a hero.
Like
but yeah.
and with I think honestly the most tangential character I've seen him as is either the receptionist in the Ghostbusters movie,
Ghostbusters.
I haven't watched that.
or and then
It
you
was
have
fun.
he's Kirk's dad in the first Star Trek
Oh
reboot.
yeah, that's right. But I mean, it's such a small part.
It's a small
Yeah.
role. Yeah. So he's just someone's dad. It's hard
George Kirk, right?
to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie you can't. Are you allowed to speak that movie's name in your household?
Well, I asked because she's not around.
She hates it.
So my wife is a huge Trekkie,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like when we watched she was super happy about a new Star Wars movie, and the moment Vulcan Star Trek, sorry. The moment they destroy Vulcan, she almost stood up and left the theater, which I'd never seen her do. She was pissed.
Yeah.
She hates that movie.
Wow. That was a intense scene.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Anyway, Furiosa.
Don't worry about it. Furiosa. Yeah. So, no, I mean, he was great. And I'd love to. It's unfortunate he is cutting back on acting because I would love to see him take on more comedic and villainous roles. Listen, we don't have to go negative. We just always want to start positive. From here, we go where we want to go. And I think for me, I'm going to start with a simple question. It's not really, a fun, creative question we have at the end. I just want to know what is cooler using Roman names or Greek names? Because we've seen an example of using. Oh, I'm going to get this so wrong. This movie uses Roman,
Imperator?
correct?
Roman.
Yes.
Luciano?
Yes.
Sounds that way.
Rebel Moon
Oh no.
uses Greek. And I'm just curious which one feels cooler in a movie.
So are you saying
Remind me what the Greek?
who wins between Roman and Greek? I can tell you who loses. We do.
Just want to know which one's cooler.
I honestly like Greek more, but
Right.
Remind me, what was the Greek example in Rebel Moon? Because I've done my best to
All
move
their
that out of my
names.
memory.
Belisarius.
yeah.
Ah,
Although Belisarius could be Roman.
Sure. Fair, but everything he was trying to invoke was.
Oh yeah.
It was a bit of. It was Greek, especially. Essentially, was. Anyways.
Yeah.
You've ruined it.
Okay,
You've ruined my
okay.
fun question. You monsters.
I don't think it's ruined. I was just trying to remember so I could compare it. I feel like Roman
Great.
is cooler.
Great answer. We did it.
Fucking trying to segue out of his own question so fast.
No. It's a great answer. I have no further follow-ups on it. Back to this movie.
Listen,
And they're not.
I'm
The
just gonna say
follow-ups are
this.
not allowed.
So they use a lot of Roman in this movie, right? And we
Right.
get some cool titles like Praetorian and Imperator. We also get
Sure.
Scrotus and Rictus. So you got to balance.
I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
if.
take the good with the bad.
I mean, I guess we'll get to it because I do have questions about those names
Yes.
for children or adult
for
children.
for children.
Children? I don't have any children listening to this.
It shows you how powerful it is to just have a kid
Named
have a kid
Ballsack?
in something. Yeah, or just jump to him being an adult. Sometimes it's just easier that way. Yeah. So no, real actual comment at this movie that one of the things I noticed. It's like, I think if you listen to our previous podcast, we watched Solo, right?
I think it
In the
was the
previous
previous
podcast?
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, so
We
we
did,
watched
yeah.
Solo, a Star Wars story, and
Oh.
even if you didn't listen to that podcast, if you've seen Solo, you understand that like writing a prequel is very hard because you have to get yourself to a specific place, and you can't help but try to make answer things that show up in the other movie that are cool and meaningful to the franchise, or to not just to the people, to the fans, but it can go so wrong so quickly.
Yeah.
If you pick the wrong thing. Like, certainly you had to answer the question of how did Furiosa lose her arm, and so you have to show that, and that's fine. But then there's other things they do, like the head hug that the people from the Place of Abundance do.
I was so mad at that. I was like, why aren't they doing that? And then I saw a picture of Furiosa meeting Valkyrie on Fury Road. I was like, George Miller, you bitch, you took that little thing that was probably like ad-libbed or like improvised at the time, and you made it, this is how the Vuvellini greet each other now. Like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that was more Nick Lathorius's work, and he's still alive. I checked. He did write this for reals. I
Okay,
checked.
maybe.
But
George Miller could still have cut it.
I mean, that's fair. He could have. So this is
How
the thing,
old is
right?
George Miller? I don't know.
Old. 80s?
Yeah, probably.
Plus?
Okay.
Let's check here. What are you telling me, IMDb? You don't want to tell me his age. 1945.
So
wow.
so 89 or 79.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, 89.
Yeah.
Math. How does it work? My brain broke. No. Sorry, I was talking about that. So, like, it's tough in this movie, and I find that it struggles to tell a meaningful story.
Yeah, because it's almost like telling a story by filling in the blanks, not really
Yeah.
telling a story, because you have certain beats and certain points that you need to touch on because it's such a close prequel. Because like you could take the cowards route and do what George Lucas did and set the prequel so far behind
Doesn't matter.
that it doesn't really matter too much, right? As long as you get to the end in the situation where everything else can flow from, right? But the idea here was like to segue almost in directly into
I mean, they show it I don't know if it was the end of the movie or
the
end
stinger
of the movie,
or
'cause
like the
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the credits they show what happens in the other movie. 'Cause
Exactly,
technically
yeah.
it happens after.
Yeah.
But yeah, they show her escaping with the wives or
yeah
maidens.
the
Whatever they're
wives,
called.
Maidens? Wives? Cowards!
yeah.
Yeah,
And they make sure to show the chastity belt with the teeth around
Yes.
the crotch, just because
Great
it's
job,
very
everybody.
edgy. But yeah, like they so instead of being able to tell a whole story, they go, okay, well, so now we have to go from this thing. Let's show Furiosa, whose actual name is fucking Furiosa, not something else, and Valkyrie, whose actual fucking name is Valkyrie and not something else. Because in the other movie they call her the Valkyrie. And here is just her fucking name, right?
So like, I have a question for you. Like, what the fuck were they doing naming kids at this car? Why would you name your kid Furiosa? Of course, when you name your daughter, did you ever think of Furiosa?
No. Furthermore, if you're coming like to your point, if you're born or you've migrated to a place of abundance, a secret place of abundance, if those children were born there, Furiosa and Valkyrie are the last names you're going to pick.
That is true. I never even thought of that. But like, they should have been called like Sky and Dawn, like
Yeah.
a
Right.
hippie
Rebirth.
fucking name.
We can't have that.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's rebirthing in?
Roman
Yeah,
in Latin.
Thank you.
I know what it is in Portuguese. It's probably not super different.
I mean, it's
but
probably close.
yeah, it would be a terrible name. It would be even more. It would be even more hippie than in English.
Well, Google itself says
Butcher it. Let's see.
regeneratio.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
Regeneratio. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Thank
more like
you.
regeneration in English, but yeah.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah.
Take your pick. It's either Harry Potterian or
Yeah.
it's Doctor Who.
No,
well,
but
Harry
like-
Potter stole liberally.
Oh
From,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, everything's just an or
Yeah.
Us.
And like, don't get me fucking started on the lack of declension. No, this is not this. No. Anyway,
stay focused.
but
stay on target.
any like even if you said okay, so Furiosa, at least it's Roman, right? It's Latin. What the fuck is where did the Norse come in? Like, what the fuck why is she a Valkyrie? Call her, I don't know, Amazon or something like closer at least. No, Valkyrie. But anyway, they go, let's show Valkyrie and Furiosa together because God forbid they are just acquaintances. No, they have to be best friends that got separated
Yeah.
so they can meet again in the other movie. And then let's basically waffle until the point where, I don't know, what was the next thing that when she paints her head or when she cuts her hair off or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Shows it a couple times, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It feels.
And what a weird. Go on.
So yeah, just to finish the thought is like it feels like they were like, "Fuck, we should do something." It's been 10 years, and they're like, "Yeah, but we don't really have a story to tell." Yeah, but Furiosa, man, everybody loves her. All right, fine. I guess I'll make some
Yeah.
money.
It really seemed like they were scared to just do another Mad Max. Like, I understand not wanting to do Mad Max, but I don't know if the answer was to do Furiosa.
I mean, go do Furiosa, but do it because you have a story for it. They had 10
Right.
years to come up with a decent story.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
Like,
This is the best they had.
Yeah, that's the problem.
This is the outcome. This is the result. Like, if that's the case, and you're gonna really, like it really is a missed opportunity because, and I don't, it's not, this isn't negative. This is just about the missed opportunity. If you want to if you want to world build, Mad Max has had a great run. That doesn't mean you have to stop making those. But if you want to world build, give Furiosa the time and attention that she needs, as opposed to checking off the prequel, ticking off that box and jamming, messily jamming this air quotes story into the format of a 2 hour and change movie. It's honestly, with every section of the or chapter of the movie,
Right.
this could have been a series. It could have been a 2-parter movie for all we know.
Yeah, or
And,
do a prequel, but you don't have to make it an origin story. First of all, people are tired of origin stories already.
Yes.
And frankly,
unless it's done
even
well,
then,
and this wasn't.
Which is, I agree, but like it didn't have to be.
It's
right?
really hard to do that, to
Yeah.
land a prequel story that's meaningful and impactful. Like, I have a hard time thinking of a franchise that did it. Like
Yeah.
a direct prequel like this, not like well, I mean, the Star Wars movies stand on their own as being garbage for reasons that are related
It's
to being
not because
prequels.
they're prequels. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of other prequels I've seen where like Rogue One for Star Wars was interesting, but
It was the best one that and it was a very good movie. That's probably from the new like movies is the best one. I would say.
They put it in the same timeline, which was great, but they had made it about. I mean, the only people you saw cross over were minor characters that would have existed and made sense, right? Like,
and
Mon Mothma is there,
yeah,
like the
and the very
leaderships of the rebels.
last scene, which is arguably the best scene of the movie.
That is the opposite of the when Furiosa had to pull a little chain to make the motor go on her arm to chop stuff.
Yeah,
I bet you someone thought that was genius when they wrote it, and then the application looks so stupid. But whereas Darth Vader coming in and just chopping up some fools, that's the culmination of my Star Wars hopes and dreams.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. That scene is awesome because there was like a lot longer, like 40 years, 50 years of expectations on that scene, right?
Yes.
And they delivered, which we all knew what it was. It was Darth Vader being Darth Vader at his best, and they delivered. And this one, not like they had the idea of the fucking motor arm,
chains,
but they had no reason to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And even like the sound effect, it was supposed to sound more like, I guess, like a chainsaw, maybe, or it sounded like a bread knife. Like, I'm going to be honest here.
Did it a motorized bread knife? Chop up that challah bread. It's like I bet
you could get like a really thin challah slice there with that arm.
I'm gonna slice this challah and then I'm gonna shove it down your gullet. And furthermore, what a waste of that moment as well to like liberate a teddy bear that you have. It's what
exactly?
What? No,
those chains were so thin you could have just
pulled it. Yeah.
But like, so that's it, right? Like, so that's the challenge with this movie, and like, overall, I don't want to ruin my ranking, but I found the movie frustrating because you spent all this time telling a story about someone when their origin story isn't interesting, to put it bluntly.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. Like, you make a prequel, but it doesn't have to be an origin story. Make it a previous adventures, right? When she was like in her late teens or early, like as a young adult, like in her 20s or something.
Right.
And like show her making mistakes that she didn't make on the second movie or something like that. It doesn't have to be, this was a pure child that was stolen, and we're going to make a lot of very, very scary and upsetting illusions about, marrying children and breeding children, but we're not going to show it. Like,
can you keep talking like in that voice?
Sure. Why?
Please?
Why do you want me to talk in that voice?
Because it's the voice it's the narration voice that everyone needs, that we didn't know we needed. Yeah. And like the solution to this, like to plus one onto that, it's in the title alone, Saga.
Yeah. Tell me an epic story. Yeah.
and it's unfortunate when that happens, because like, not for nothing, Anna Taylor-Joy is talented, right? But in this context, in this setting, I was yearning for Charlize Theron to come and own it. Like, that's what she did.
That's the thing, right?
That's what Fury Road Furiosa did. She owned everything.
Yeah,
but this
those
person
are
to me
very large shoes to fill. Like, nothing against Anna Taylor-Joy. I think she's not the greatest actress there is, but she's good. But
it's not her fault. But I'm saying
exactly. That's what I was getting to.
Power.
I don't think they give her decent direction to have her.
I think her acting in the story they gave her is fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
It gets the job done. I don't think there's really a lot of room to do a lot of acting. Like, she doesn't talk.
Well,
she
doesn't show up until midway through the movie.
Yes,
I was very surprised about this.
Right. Yeah. So was I. I thought that was way too long to wait for her to show up as an adult. And then she essentially doesn't talk. So I'm thinking of like Christian Bale in the last Thor movie. He had a very dark character, but he was like he's a great actor. Yeah. And he portrayed everything to the T. So she didn't do that. And it's fine. It doesn't ruin the movie. It's just the movie's premise is dumb. The story
it shoots itself in the foot with a lot of things. Yeah, I agree.
Because
repeatedly.
Yeah, the thing that was interesting, or the thing that was still good about this movie is like the car scenes and the action sequences still top notch. It's like those are fucking exciting and really enjoyable to watch. Like the idea they made that the bombing knocker.
Oh man. Such a great idea. I was like hyped to see it turn on.
Yeah. And it looked great. Like all that was fun. Like seeing the War Boys and fighting in a different style. And again, this is always the challenge of like, because you in a movie when you make a sequel, you always ratchet up, right? Like you're like, we're gonna do more. But because this is a prequel, you can't do any more. You have to work around that challenge. And I thought for the most part with the action sequences, they did, right? Like the War Boys were still doing interesting things, and like, the action items, like having it take place in one of the fortresses, changed it up and made it something interesting.
The whole thing with Dementus's crew, like being essentially like biker gangs, right, together, like him bringing together several biker gangs under his sage tutelage, let's call it, and it being different than like Immortan Joe's stuff, which is like with cars and like heavier. I thought that was cool,
right?
And honestly, the parts of this movie that I enjoyed the most were the parts that were essentially disconnected from Fury Road, like Dementus and all that stuff, right? Even the war rig, if you look at the war rig from Fury Road now, it's like, wait, so the thing that we saw here is the prototype, and then the actual one is this disappointing thing now?
I like to think of it as they went all out and it was immediately destroyed.
And they were like, fuck, we don't have the money.
It can't be ours to do it.
Yeah.
We wasted all of our materials on that one cool one and it got destroyed, so fuck it.
We got to water it down next time.
It's a good explanation as any.
Same budget.
Yeah.
It sounds also...
In fact, I was enjoying this movie. Like, I was watching the movie and I paused because it was like, I don't remember why exactly, but I remember seeing a scene that was like, oh yeah, this happened in Fury Road, and then I went to kind of revisit Fury Road because I saw it in the theaters at the time and never again.
Yeah.
And after I remembered stuff from Fury Road, I started to enjoy this movie less because it was like, oh, this is so forced now. Oh, why are they touching heads all the time? Fuck you. This
in
shit.
some ways, having 9 years between you, it's just like you just remember the broad strokes.
Yeah, exactly.
Furiosa was who now? The chick that drove the transport truck?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, was she driving it? I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Because if you go back and refresh, like, not for me. It's just the whole. I mean, I don't want to go into it anymore. But the whole making Furiosa be about like her entire life, but just tying everything that happened in her life to like this small little area of the world.
It's so unnecessary to show her coming from completely outside of the wasteland, right? Some other place that is different.
Yeah,
and to be honest, anything is good. It would have been great. Like I feel like the place of abundance and just the flash that we got of it is such a missed opportunity. Like, how'd they get there?
Why is it?
Like,
Why
how did
is
they
it
defend
still?
themselves?
Yeah. All like they had. You can tell that there were ideas, which I'm sure is like George Miller had. Even before this movie, he had some like because you could read it on fandom.com, our main sponsor. You can find on the wiki like there's like stuff about all of these places and the groups of people, but then he falls into, and we've talked about this a bunch of times in the podcast. He falls onto the slippery slope of let's call it explaining the coins from John Wick. It's the same thing, right? So he doesn't do it with everything, but he did with a lot of things in this movie, and the explanations were garbage. Like the whole thing with her arm, right? It was cool.
Did she chew it off?
Yeah, well,
or like,
don't
was
get
it
me
just damaged
started
enough?
on that fucking like how'd
that happen?
How did she self dismember? That is the very first time I've ever seen someone like rip their own arm off, and a bunch of bikers circling her didn't see it. It's fucking insane that happened.
I also don't remember seeing the arm ever looking like it was so messed up that she needed or could do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How did she? What, like, oh, she just has that much willpower? Come on. That's not how that works.
Because, like, it was crushed between the two vehicles.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, the
like,
forearm.
The forearm, sorry.
Yeah.
But, like, you still need, like, the mental fortitude. Not that she didn't have it, but you got to get through the rest of that. And you need time.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like she had enough to do that.
And there were people all around her.
Was it it was the sand dust cloud with all the torture of Praetorian Jack?
Well, he was
gave her
dead
some
by
cover.
that point, probably. But yeah,
I know, but like it was like they were kicking up their own.
The Manta's just
sandstorm as a
fucking
result.
sitting in the hood of the car doing nothing. Like that whole scene was so gratuitous, just to show how she actually lost the arm, when there were so much better ways of doing it. And this ties back to the point that we were making before is, okay, she has to lose the arm, right? But we don't necessarily need to know how, right?
And
Yeah,
it's not all that. It's not even. It's not even.
it's not all that cool, right?
It is and isn't. It's anticlimactic.
Exactly.
Like it's a tense scene, but there's no payoff. Like,
Do you think that
we have to
they
get rid of the road, so
overthought
this is how we did it.
themselves by having her draw the map to the place of abundance on her arm?
Yeah, that was such a like an obvious thing,
right? And then it's like, okay, well now we all think that like someone's gonna chop it off to get the arm.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
and then they were trying to like, we can't do that because it's too obvious. We got to subvert their expectations. I know. Let's just have it rubbed on by a monster truck wheel, and then she rips it off because that'll be badass. And
so
like,
that's the thing. The having it crushed against the monster truck is actually a cool twist, because I was sure fucking Immortan Joe or maybe one of the sons was gonna chop it off,
right?
Or even Dementus at that point. And it's like, oh, so that's how she loses the arm, right? And then I was like, oh, she shows it with mangled. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like a, after everything is done, they're gonna see, okay, we can't save it, let's chop it off. What did she do? She chew it off? What is this, Saw? What the fuck? Is this the prequel to Saw as well? Is that what's happening here?
Yes.
You know, I have more respect for young Furiosa compared to Anna Furiosa, because
middle-aged Furiosa.
Middle-aged
in the wasteland. Might as well be.
I respect beginning and end Furiosa more than the middle Furiosa.
Right.
Yeah.
Kid Furiosa was badass.
True.
And that was a really, really great setup, and the momentum. That's why I was okay with it. And I was like, okay, now I wonder when Anna Taylor-Joy is going to take over. And I didn't care by that point. But you're right. Yes, it was long, but at the same time, they gave Kid Furiosa, Kid F, so much time to establish and show her grit.
And she pulled it off, right? The actress pulled it off really well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she murdered, and Kid F murdered Toe Jam before he could speak about the place of.
Yeah.
She stole the show.
That was fucking great.
Kid Furiosa stole the show.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That scene was fucking awesome. Like you're
They didn't even
and
show
even
it.
her
And
mom
still
goes.
was, she's like, no.
Even her mom goes.
You keep my home, my neighborhood named out your mouth.
Yeah, good girl. You're not gentrifying my neighborhood. That's what she said. That's what she said to him.
Starbucks.
When she did that. Yeah. Even her mom goes,
Dementus
good girl.
bucks.
It's like, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You are right, and that's the frustration with this movie is that, like, it's not that it's that you pick Furiosa, but it's not in the same breath. It's not that you pick Furiosa. It's that it's the disease or the trap of the prequels. Like, well, everything that happened in Furiosa's life is tied to her being where I need her to be for Fury Road. And it's just like, it's such a stupid no one's life works like that. No one's life is like, well, I was a kid and then I got stolen and then I lived with this weird guy for like 2 years and then I got sold into slavery to be some dude's wife and I didn't want to do that. So I hid and then I just stayed in his crew working until they spotted me and I could move up in the organization and work for him full time.
Without anybody being the wiser. Are we getting to the point where we're gonna segue into?
That's actually yes, but that's also the best. That's the best explanation of both the hiring process and promotion process of one target code.
Mm-hmm. That's how you do it. It's a good segue into the third section of our podcast where I would ask, how is Immortan Joe's empire like Target? But we're not there yet.
RCDS.
Or Sellers.
You pick. R.I.P. Sellers. But we're doing plot holes first. And I think the biggest plot hole we noticed in this movie, or I noticed and we all agreed. So we all noticed and we all agreed. I don't know, words. How do they work? But back to the point.
Real questions.
So Furiosa gets sold to Immortan Joe as a child, as part of the deal for Dementus to become the Lord of Gastown, as he calls himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then she's acquired to be a wife because the what's the
organic mechanic,
name?
The best fucking title in this whole movie.
Perfect, best, easily the best. That's perfect.
Yeah.
He checks her out and it's like, oh yeah, she's perfect. So obviously now we know that Immortan Joe wants to keep her around as a wife because he is trying to have a legitimate son, not Scrotus and Rictus, and having someone who
he wants to have a son that isn't a ball sack or a dick. Yeah
exactly. So in the section, so we know why he keeps her, right?
Yeah.
And so this is where it all falls apart because he has a great reason to keep her and keep an eye on her. She vanishes, and essentially there's no follow-up to the vanishing. Like, I understand that Rictus might not go tell his dad that he lost his dad's most promising mate. But someone would go down and be like, hey, where's the little girl? We got one little girl.
The new kid.
Oh, that was the whole... Okay, so all of these bikers came here, threatened us, fucking held the former Guardian of Gastown, not even at gunpoint, but at like fucking pike point? I don't know what that was. Like that spring-loaded... Contraption, yeah.
Spring-loaded contraption point.
We agreed to give them more of the things for we agreed to basically pay them more, right? In exchange for this girl. She disappears within a couple of days that she was sold, and nobody goes, where is that girl that we basically bought with some of our lively fucking hood? Like, what's happening here? No, she just disappeared. Oh well, one more falls through the cracks. Like,
worth a damn. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I was immediately like, the first thing that got me was the plan of her chopping off her hair, and
the first
and
time
making a wig, like all of that in the space of a night. Like, she notices that Rictus likes her hair. So she's like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pretend I have hair, and then when he touches it, I run away. What kind of a fucking plan was that?
He won't be able to find me.
Yeah.
I mean, her plan was to go blend. She observed all these bald war boys. I guess her plan was to go and blend into the crowd.
Right, but she wasn't even actually completely bald. And she didn't even try to be a war boy. She just disguised herself, and I'm using air quotes here, disguised herself as a boy by dressing in baggy clothes, I guess, and nobody recognized her.
Hey man, that's worked in every movie. Worked for Mulan. Good enough for.
That's right.
Yeah.
Worked in what's it? She's the Man.
Yeah. There you
Oh
go.
no.
Amanda
Yeah,
Bynes.
she's the man.
It's
What
all
else?
good.
Probably. That's another movie.
It is, yeah. But like so like that's the thing, right? Like she hides, and
Hides. Air quotes again.
so I said this to my wife earlier because we were talking. She watched the movie and we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, it's like they make no effort to really hide that Taylor Joy is a very attractive woman.
Yeah.
Like, yes, she shaves her head, but like you see that picture of her after she's it's around when she starts to make her plan around the war rig and the escape, and you see her face full on, and it's like it is the most feminine constructed, just obviously pretty cute face I've ever seen. Like of all the people you see at the Citadel,
especially
even
juxtaposed to like the people that she was around.
Right.
There was a
the
bunch
guy
of
who had that old guy who had the car for her to take. Like he was fucked up.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so I bring this up because even if you are willing to say that they just looked and they looked really hard and they could never find her and it was impossible and we just don't want to show that because of runtime, whatever. She's still an attractive woman on the compound that you would think, oh, you'd look twice, and then would you not click into the fact that bears a striking resemblance to the child you lost 7-10 years ago?
And even if you didn't, wouldn't you then call the organic mechanic again to say, hey, she looks pretty. Go take a look at her. She has
deal?
all her teeth or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inspection.
Yeah. And none of that is ever explained. And so it's like it's not. It was one of those things. All right, fine. Suspension of disbelief. You got to give some leeway on the story. They only ever like one time have Rictus almost like pull down her mask, and then Scrotus like ruins that. Which I see you tried, but like you had like it's the movie's fault for having her show up there as a child.
Yeah,
because they had like 8 years. I don't know what the time span is between those. They have years to like spot her and look for her to figure it out. And one scene of it not working, it doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't catch. And then she at the end of the movie, she's talking to everybody. She has her mask off, and she's like,
but she has long hair, and now she's an adult, completely different from the girl. She actually they did a good job of doing the casting, so she actually looks a little bit like the girl. Nobody in that board of directors. I don't know, cabal of weirdos, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
That none of them goes, huh, what? You're familiar. I guess the painting on the forehead is like Superman's glasses, maybe?
Yeah, the Clark Kent effect. Oh, man.
I agree. It's like, it was very... I was sure that Praetorian Jack was going to have to fight for... Like, when they brought her back, because she... tries to stow away, right? That's the whole thing. Immediately fails because she's underneath the thing and all the food goes away. I was so sad. I was like, oh, that was a good plan. And it goes away. And then she like saves them, which that was, by the way, my favorite scene. Obviously that first chase scene was great. And she like tries to fuck over Praetorian Jack. He takes her under his wing, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, so they're in the road. Nobody knows. He gets to make his decisions, but when he brings her back, there's going to be hell to pay. No. He was like, who are you again? What's your name? My name is James. She's like, they were like, okay, James, girl, James. Sure.
Furiosa.
Furiosa.
Thank you. Yeah, it's got to be, Roman-ish, right? So Furiosa works fine. Thank you.
And then, now I'm just thinking about this too, because Immortan Joe clearly calls her Furiosa in the first movie, right? So he knows it's her, or does he think her name is Little D?
Does he call her Furiosa in this movie?
No, I don't think so.
As a child, yeah. Okay, so he has no idea.
He thinks her name is Little D,
which is the best alias ever.
Well, I'm 100% sure Chris Hemsworth ad-libbed that and they left it in.
Yes.
Little D is the best alias you can have as a burgeoning rapper in the Citadel.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, but then it would be
Like,
Lil D, not Little D.
Lil D.
Lil D, yeah.
But this is post-apocalyptic. Like they got to hold on to something. So
So
you're
that's
Little
fair.
D.
That's fair.
They literally only know to call gasoline guzzling. So
Guzzle, yeah.
See,
my
thanks to the
favorite,
history, man. Mhm.
not anachronism, but like made up new term is word burger.
Yeah. Thanks
History,
to
man. What
one-
burger, please?
Well, you see, the etymology of Little D comes from Run DMC, and so when you think about the structure and the arc of the sounds that the words that are making,
Man.
Little D is nothing is far from little because her heart and her rap prowess is gigantic. You might say,
She has big D energy.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
nice.
And that's the play on words.
I-
Word burger complete.
I would have paid good money to see that old dude talking about Run DMC and Big D energy.
Right?
Yeah.
But now the listeners don't have to because we brought you
There
that
you
content.
go.
We brought you the art.
Yeah.
We do bring the art. So in this scenario where we're talking about Furiosa being the plot hole and the fact that no one really cares or does anything about her escaping, I think we've covered all the instances where it gets annoying. It's pretty much as soon as she escapes, no one ever figures out anything or does anything.
Yeah, she has some sort of like
Invisibility cloak.
superpower, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also think it would have helped a little bit if literally any other woman was involved in the Citadel in any way, or what she was doing at the Citadel. Just so it's like, yeah, there are women here. It's just,
Right.
Immortan picks the ones of the finest stock, not just...
She was hiding as a boy. She was pretending to be a boy, right?
Sure.
And
But
I
that's-
don't know
that's
what
part of the
happened
problem.
when she grew breasts and started having her period.
Listen, we're not going to go there because we're men.
She bound. It looks like she was binding
Fair,
a
that's
bit
fair.
of her
We're going
chest.
there, okay.
Yeah, we're there.
That's all. That's all I have to say.
But, so that's fine. She solved those problems, I guess. But it's the idea that, like, he doesn't have any women doing anything, right? They're not
Yeah.
war people or war boys. But even all the slaves that, like, where she hides, everyone's a dude. But,
Yeah.
like, and I'm sure that meant something for Fury Road. Like, it's just how Morton Joe runs his, it's an old dictator, blah, blah, blah. But if you're going to sell me the story that Furiosa hid in plain sight, when
You gotta do better than that.
you got to show that there's a much greater likelihood that it's easy for her to hide because she's not the only woman floating around.
Or
Which is true.
do a better job of showing how she went about hiding that she's a woman.
Right. Also good.
Like once again, proving that Little D has bigger dick energy than Middle D. And the Immortan Joe's Citadel did a piss poor job, to your point, Matt, of juxtaposing different roles, different hierarchies compared to Dementus's camp. And there was more presence of male and female and everyone.
Are you saying
Like,
that at least
they were part of it?
Are you saying that at least the Mentus's gang was egalitarian? Is that what you're saying?
Equal opportunity employer.
I think that's where I'm going with that.
Okay, no, you're right, because we see, there was the woman who I learned after the movie was called Sad Eyes, who was taking care of her.
Aw.
The one that her mom doesn't kill is called. Her name is Sad Eyes for whatever reason.
Should have.
Yeah.
Should have, yeah.
And then there was Mr. Norton, played once again by Elsa Pataki.
Yeah.
She played two roles.
Well, so does Immortan Joe,
Good
right?
for her.
Immortan Joe plays Immortan Joe and the guy that doesn't have an eye.
Really, that was him?
Yeah.
That's him. Yeah.
Oh,
There's like 3 or 4 people that do double duty in this movie.
really seems like a tight knit crew, which I gotta respect.
I think it's a fun thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I mean,
Elsa Pataki did a great job. I did not recognize her
Oh, yeah.
as Mr. Norton.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I saw her, but I was like, wait, it is.
Yeah, so like, I mean, this is the thing about the movie. So you have this massively glaring large plot hole, in my estimation, of just not because everything's wrapped around the idea that she's just hiding in plain sight for reasons that did not need to happen.
They did not show their work either on it.
No,
Yeah.
that's the thing. In storytelling, you hope, and I'm not saying I'm a better storyteller than George Miller. I highly doubt it. But when you cut this movie together, the story you're given is just disjointed. It's like, if you're telling a friend, it's like, so this real life person did all these things, and your friend's just like, so she shows up to the Citadel, okay, and then what happens? Like, she escaped. Oh, good, but where'd she go?
Well, she stayed.
She stayed.
Yeah.
What did she do?
was there.
Don't worry about it. It's not important to the story.
How did she hide? Oh, she in fact, didn't hide.
Yeah.
Just changed jobs. Pretend to be a boy.
Changed jobs.
Oh, so
Right.
she like went through the trouble
Career
of like
pivoted,
trying to
you might
walk
say.
like a boy and talk like with the deeper voice. No.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Not important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how long was she there for? Like 8 to 10 years. But
Yeah.
There's so many things, and nobody caught her. No, and you're
no.
saying she was like probably the prize bride of this warlord. Yep, and nobody cared
100%.
that she escaped. Nope.
I mean, they cared, but
Not that much.
Did they?
Like, not enough to like.
she didn't really
Not enough
mention
to
it.
give chase.
Yeah.
Real chase.
She didn't really mention it in the story, so I don't know. I didn't ask any follow-up questions.
Oh, by the way, the place where he keeps his brides is a literal fucking vault with
Yeah,
a
true.
vault door, and she escaped that. Yep, and nobody cared. Nope.
And no, that's
Nope.
no, that Rictus did that.
True.
Fair.
Rictus came and got her.
No, but I mean the symbology or the symbolism of keeping people in a fucking vault, right? In a place that looks like markedly better than everywhere else in that fucking citadel, right?
100%.
It's like, okay, this is a precious commodity for him,
Yep.
right? And we can talk. We can set aside the time to talk about seeing women as commodities, which Immortan Joe absolutely did, right, in both movies. But like he was at least treating them with like, okay, I think you're precious. I'm going to treat you as something precious, even though I don't consider you
Sure.
human.
Property.
But then she escapes, and they go, "Oh well, one more through the cracks."
It's just an interesting choice to not fill in all that part of her story.
Yeah.
Like based on the story, like the structure they built. It's like we're gonna spend a lot of time with her. She gets taken from this place, and her, she has a no good, very bad week or two,
Yeah,
and then she ends up in the Citadel, and we're just gonna skip ahead. It's like this is weird, but like they should have just shown her mom dying as a flashback instead of an inline story beat or story plot point to the overall story, because it was too much time just farting around.
yeah. I was gonna say the same thing. Like they could have cut bits and pieces of the time from, I guess, before she ends up in the Citadel, right? And then show me a little bit more the time between her escaping because Rictus is an idiot and her being able to even come back. Like I was fine with the way that she was, let's say, promoted to Dogman, I think it was that they called, right?
Yeah.
With the gloves. I was fine with like her stepping up
Sure.
and doing something nobody
Yeah.
else could and being promoted. That was fine. But like we needed about, I don't know, like 30 minutes of playtime where they showed her almost getting caught and learning how to pretend she's not a woman and all that stuff.
Evasiveness.
Yeah, like and learning to fight because she just is like instantly good in the rig as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We could have used that time
That was-
to like establish
For
why
a good old little D to middle
to
D
Big D.
montage.
Yeah, no, like show me how she became Big D. That's what I want to know.
Sad.
Yeah,
Sad eyes.
So, given what we were,
I
we were
see what
shown,
you did there.
how do we? And I want to challenge
do
us
we
here a
fix it?
bit. How do we fix this? How do we improve this in the framework of the movie that they've given us? Right. So we can't just be like, don't talk about Furiosa at all, or like
Yeah,
Furiosa's on fucking New Zealand island for,
I thought of that too. Like, if Australia is the wasteland, what is New Zealand?
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the land of abundance.
Maybe that's
Ah,
where it
there
is.
you
There's
go.
no ocean anymore. Anyways, But my point is like take the framework that George has given us. Within this framework, we talked a bit about it.
Yeah.
But how do we meaningfully solve this? Like you guys gave them one example of like show her, doing stuff, show her learning how to live within the Citadel would have been one way. Are there other ways that we can fix this and make it still the level of Mad Max?
I think, like, real quick, I think she needs another mentor, and like we're afforded that because the movie's chopped up into chapters. So whatever chapter, I can't remember what chapter this is, but while she's evading and trying, she's still a kid.
Oh, I like
where do
that
you get
idea.
That education? She needs a new
You know what?
a mentor for now.
She could have found another woman pretending there was a man, teach her the ropes. Like she just, she has, let's say we were talking about her becoming a woman from a girl to a woman, like, and all the obvious things that happen. And she's like desperate. I was like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. I don't know why I'm bleeding. Maybe,
Correct.
And then no one wants to see that. Okay.
You don't have to see it. You can just tell that story.
The lessons would be shared.
Like the American public is not ready to have people openly discuss how to hide their periods on a movie.
You don't have to do that. You can just say you just be a throwaway.
You keep bringing it up.
No, you can just let me tell you. Like we see that mentor. We see that mentor that Chris was talking about, and as a conversation piece, and say you learn me how to hide me. You taught me how to hide that I'm a woman, and the things that happen every month. There. Yeah,
you said this all already. Stop talking about women's periods and boobs so much.
Why?
It sounded,
Are you getting grossed out? Are you the American?
No, but it's just a weird thing to talk about in a movie as part of your plot points.
Well, but it's okay. So the reason why I'm bringing those things up,
he broke it down. The
reason why I'm bringing this up is we could have used another woman who's pretending to be a man so she can work on the stuff instead of being, a bride or relegated to the maggot police or whatever the fuck that was.
Ooh, you just hit something. What if there was the mentor was another escaped bride?
Yeah, sure. And then she teaches kind of the ropes of what she did, and she's like someone Furiosa can trust and all that stuff, right? And I like that, the idea of a mentor there in that sense.
Because, like, apart from evasiveness and so on, like the parallel here reminds me an awful lot of like the Count of Monte Cristo or the Legend of Zorro, where like the mentor figure learns the protege or whatever really, really well. So this mentor doesn't have to teach Furiosa everything, but enough to survive in the Citadel and to help her hatch a plan, because maybe this mentor is like, usually mentor figures like these are in upper years and about to like pass on. So like, or like, I don't want to make it too easy for Furiosa, but like one idea that I used to think of was like to do this or to do that. And maybe she modifies it, or maybe she takes inspiration and comes up with her own. But then we have that mentor. And then in a way, Praetorian Jack was a different mentor. So they already established that pattern later on.
We don't want to talk about Praetorian Jack's mentorship because
all I'm saying is that it's an example.
Allegedly.
Yes,
very quickly too.
Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like I understand, but
100% unnecessary. Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, Chris, I think that's I mean, and I understand the want to maybe tell different stories, and so a mentor figure feels like you're trotting over the same stuff, but it's probably better than just waving your hand.
Yeah.
You could have done 15 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
That's what I was going to say. It doesn't have to be a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even...
And what a challenge. Go ahead.
Even it could be that she took on having another mentor so quickly because she felt like safe, right, when she had the first mentor. So
she didn't have to trust the mentor, but she's got she's in a nowhere to run, nothing to do situation. Well, yeah, but she's forced to trust.
She did trust him in the end way too quickly, right?
Well, Jack, but I mean, just like it's fine. You can wash away like the first mentor. She just doesn't warm up to forever, but they've got 8 years, so eventually she's forced to, and like Praetorian Jack is like barely a mentor.
Yeah, he's like he's a boss at the most.
Yeah.
Casting couch. But anyways,
oh no. Some more little.
I was gonna say with. Oh Lord! I was gonna say that with like the first mentor too, like 8 years is a long time, and most likely They would have had actual conversations. Not that we need to see it, but I mean, from a storytelling standpoint, I think it would have been really cool if it was all told silently, and it's just like pointing things out, and the lessons don't require dialogue because we just need the justification of the absorption of those skills. And
you
lessons,
could have
right?
used that mentorship thing, however long it was, to show how she basically learned how to become another person. And maybe she could have had another name that wasn't fucking Furiosa, and gives, like, the mentor gives her the name Furiosa for some reason, right?
As opposed,
Yeah, it's a
and
nickname that she gives her the first time she sees her fly off the handle and like
Yeah, there you go.
kill somebody or something crazy. She's like, "Wow, you're really angry. I'm going to call you Furiosa."
Yeah, there you go.
yeah.
Right.
And there's even like it does, and like not to, depending on like the scope and size, like t-shirt size of this like this like Citadel journey. Maybe who says it has to all land on the shoulders of one mentor?
No, now you're being Zack Snyder. You just take a step back. One mentor is okay.
I'm not saying it needs to be an. Okay,
you
sure.
want
I just wanna-
if there's one, and then
You
there's
want
and
the
then there's
Justice
things that
League of the
Furiosa learns on
Wasteland
her
to be her
own.
mentor.
Yeah,
Come on,
I just need to explain
I didn't say
how
that.
she goes from being like a 10-year-old to
an
an
18-year-old.
18-year-old, and even though she's hiding in the belly of the beast, nothing ever happens to her.
Yeah. I think a mentor figure there, kind of teaching her how she did it, and the whole, I had to learn the hard way, but I'm going to teach you my ways or whatever.
Yeah. And then you can, it's like 10, 15 minutes is just enough to connect all those dots. And then you're back into whatever the rest of this movie is.
Because clearly Furiosa has the potential in the beginning when she's like, she grabs the peach and she tells Valkyrie, be invisible. No, motherfucker, I'm telling you, be invisible. And then she tries to climb down and then her chain clink clanks on the rock. And she's like, be invisible. Noise.
She just like hides, like she crouches and hides, like, I'm not here, I'm not here, I'm not here.
Let's see. So we've answered the
Yes.
question. We solved the problem for George.
Sure.
Yes, we do. He
let's-
needs the help.
After
let's
a fashion.
Let's got there.
Yeah.
Let's ask some questions that are more interesting about the rest of the movie to fill out the rest of the story that George refuses to tell us. And then these can be entered into Wikipedia all time as being true facts of the Mad Max world.
What did they do to my movie?
First question, easy one, simple. Keep it light, keep it positive. What happened to Dementus's family?
Okay, I see why you preface it. Keep it
Yeah.
light.
Yes.
Don't bum everybody out. Okay, what happened to his family?
I think that there was Dementus used to be, he had a different job before the role of Dementus.
I fucking hope so.
And he had a different job. So he's probably like,
Sorry, Chris, he didn't ride the motor tricycle around when it wasn't the apocalypse, just up and down the street.
Well,
I would like to
Pre-apocalypse,
think.
thank you.
I think I would like to.
Hey, man,
think that he
Chris
would,
isn't done.
he-
I was just asking him a question. Why you?
all right, fine,
you gotta-
fine. I was gonna say
Let
he
the man
did
cook.
ride it, but okay,
You can have
Yeah,
your
he
own
did.
turn.
all right.
before Dementus, the Dementus arc, he ran a grocery store, right? And it was an honorable job. He was part of the community. Da 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 da. People knew him. He knew people. The regulars took care of the elderly and stuff like that. But his wife and children were neglected at home. He was clocking too many hours in the grocery store, and so when you ignore your family, some people see that as an opportunity to attain what they never had. Enter Jared Scrotius,
Okay.
an oil magnate from New Zealand.
Great. Hey, can you tie the apocalypse into this at all?
I could try.
Thanks.
And so when the apocalypse took place,
Nice.
um,
Well done.
yeah, so when it took place,
That's a rare George Miller story writing energy right there.
so when the apocalypse took place, Jared
It's a smash cut
whisked his
storytelling
family,
is what it's called. Yeah.
just like a smash burger. You got to put the thumb in the middle. So Jared just essentially stole the family away to another sequestered region that was abound and flourishing with resources. And so and as a result, when pre-Dementus, we don't really have a name for him.
Apothecarius, based on his being a grocer.
Yes, it would be Apothecarius.
Thank you, Apothecarius. He comes home and finds a Dear Apocalyptic John letter where it's written in blood, and so he thinks his family is dead, and that sets him off the edge.
Dear Apoco John.
Apoco John.
I have left you. Apoco Jean.
Does he have the Curse de Québécois?
This is Australia. No, thank you, sir.
The curse de Azier.
Moving on. Luciano, you may now answer.
No, I was just going to interject that I think he rode the bicariot to work every day. And I would venture to say that he cared more about his bicariot than he did about his family.
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh.
And that's what called his wife melanoma.
To spirit away. Melanoma.
Yeah, that's her name. I don't know why.
Really?
I don't know why. This is the first weird word that came to my mouth.
She doesn't have to be like Greek or Roman or anything. She could have a regular name.
That
Pre-apocalypse.
I mean, that's okay. So her
Pre-apocalypta.
Pre-apocalypta. That's her name. Yes.
There we go.
Melanoma is only for friends, for close friends. So Pre-apocalypta, she kind of felt jealous of the bicariot, and
That's three bikes.
Yeah. He had a 4-way with those bikes every time. And I think that was part of why he lost his family. And he thinks, because he's demented, hence the name. So he thinks that they're dead, but really they just moved to New Zealand. In my head, Mad Max is only Australia. Everywhere else in the world is fine.
Sure.
It's just Australia that's fucked.
Most of Australia is already just an apocalyptic wasteland.
It's just a natural evolution.
Yeah.
It's
the first one to go.
Except for the ground that Hugh Jackman walks on.
Well,
that's called the green place.
Yeah.
Hey.
There we go. Place of abundance. Luciano, you forgot to include the apocalypse in your story.
I included the pre-apocalypse.
Happened,
right, but how does he...
Take the life preserver!
Where does the apocalypse show up in his story of his family leaving him to go to New Zealand?
It doesn't. There is no apocalypse. He's hallucinating the whole thing. Does that answer your question?
The correct answer was...
I showed you the door.
Yeah, the correct answer is just the apocalypse happened.
I don't want to do the George Miller School of Storytelling.
Wave your magic apocalypse arm. It happened. They left. End of story.
He was cheating on his wife with the bikes. Then apocalypse. Then he became Dementus. There you go.
Great job, everybody. No, I think you nailed it. My thought was that, in fact, he was always Dementus. Was he baptized as Dementus? No, so see what happened was he just woke up one day in a psychiatric ward. And I thought you said to keep it breezy. Yeah, it's breezy. Don't worry, it's fine. And I only say keep it breezy for the first question.
You gotta.
And this is it. So don't worry about it. He doesn't have a family. Right. And so all of the people that are in his inner circle, they're all residents from the mental ward, the mental hospital. I see. Oh. And so he just woke up one day and he became friends with all of them, and they called him Dementus because he was crazy. And they saw it on like TV one time. The apocalypse happened, and they all ride together. And so his family is just a made-up creation he used to sound cool to his friends in the mental hospital. I mean, that is actually, I actually think that might actually be the situation, because if you look at like the names or titles he gives other people, that's like someone who doesn't know what they're doing. There's one dude called the Smeg. Like, come on.
Yeah, that was something else. I do not want to break the etymology of that down at all.
Yeah, we don't need to.
Dick cheese.
I thought you didn't want to.
Anyways.
We didn't have to.
Yeah, we didn't
just
have to.
couldn't.
Someone had
No,
to.
we didn't.
after
We could
saying
have
they
left it
didn't have to.
implied.
The worst part
But
is you.
here
You're
we
like,
are.
Zack
don't do
Snyder.
it, and then you did it yourself.
Yeah.
See what I did?
Were you
See what I
talking to
did?
yourself? You should have been.
See what I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
Next question. Hey, why does the people eater have a gas mask on his junk?
I first of all did not see that shit. Second of all I saw when that scene came up and the camera craned upwards, it was like a big gut, a big belly gut. I was like, oh, well, that's what it is, and then that was it. But you know,
No.
so
At the
y'all
bottom of
clock
that gut, there was a gas mask strapped to it.
Wow.
I guess because
So,
he doesn't
what do we
want
wanna
to,
do
he
with
doesn't
that?
want his dick choking to death. I guess. In the
You
Dick
didn't,
needs to breathe.
the
you
Smack
didn't
one?
have to. No.
Oh, yeah. You gotta air. You gotta air out the curtains.
So,
Sometimes.
wait, no, that
but that
doesn't-
means like, the way it was positioned is you want to keep the bad stuff out, not
Oh, I
bad
see.
stuff
So
in?
the mask is for our protection, not his.
keep. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can
So
see
his
that.
dick had COVID.
Sure.
Huh.
I mean,
Dick vid.
Yeah.
COVID. Dick.
Also, he wore a little chainmail bikini on his nose. Did you guys notice that?
yeah.
It looked like a cheese grater, like one of those.
Yeah,
one of
dick
those.
cheese
Not
grater.
cheese grater. It looks like it. Yes, it looked like one of those thimbles.
Yeah, it
that
does,
you
yeah,
use
yeah,
for,
it
like
does.
from David's Tea, that like has teas that just don't taste like they smell. Anyways, yeah.
I think we
Gross.
nailed it.
I
Very.
think we all nailed it. Hey, a different question entirely. The History Man, which was at first an interesting device and used for comic relief, but confusing. I want to know. I assume that it's a rigorous process to become a History Man. I assume there's some sort of, chartered professional association of History
Like
Men.
an accreditation process.
Yes, yeah. So that is the thing. How do you become an accredited History Man?
I see. I think it's a very
Right.
good question. 'Cause it's an important profession. Can't just have
Yes.
some
First-
just some random Joe delivering word burgers.
Yeah. First, you have to. I mean, like, so he's got age on him, so he might have been a historian or a Wikipedia phalite.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Pre-apocalypse.
So first of all, you have to have a Wikipedia editor in your family tree. That's the first requirement.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a hereditary position to some extent.
A
Sure.
Wikipedian.
A Wikipedian, yes, you have to be a Wikipedian.
Or Wikipedia will be also accepted.
Yeah, different kind
And
of
then-
history, man.
Still counts.
Yeah, and then you got to be into tattoos, because apart from the knowledge that is
Yeah.
contained within your noggin, you need, like, as you get older, you need a little help, and like when you're on the road, you don't get to carry too much. So like, what is the best lightweight method for me to bring my knowledge or jog my knowledge with me, which is kind of cool, because like maybe it didn't look like real. I don't remember perfectly. It didn't look like real letters on his skin. They sort of look like symbols. So are those symbols codified
like
triggers to
shorthand?
access? Shorthand.
Yeah.
Hey, I asked you for the answers, so you don't bring questions; you bring answers.
I was just clarifying, and honestly, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Luciano.
Wow.
So
Don't
the point
interrupt.
is- God damn it! So yeah, so you have to have prior knowledge. You have to be open to to shorthand, and then you have to self tattoo.
Yeah.
all.
So
of
you
this,
have to be
which is, like,
ambidextrous, right? Because you have to tattoo the other
Indeed.
side.
Right.
right.
You also
And-
probably need some training in like anatomy, because when you take over the last, like your mentor, because it's like a Sith thing, right? You have the mentor
There's
and the
only
pupil.
two.
Sith thing, the way you want to
Yes.
term it.
Yes.
So
what is
the younger History Man eventually murders
of course.
the old.
Because
Okay.
he gets too old, and then it's like, oh, if we let you get more old, your
Oh, yeah.
tattoos are going to be wrinkled because of your skin. So I'm going to
And
kill you.
senility
And then
starts to set in.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Right.
And
I'm gonna
we
kill
lose
you
the
and
shorthand.
skin you. Keep your knowledge that is in your skin with me, and carry on the tradition.
They didn't show that, so I don't know why you're mentioning that as part of the accreditation.
You asked us how,
Listen.
and we are giving you the
So
answer.
is that like
That's part of
What
the
is that? Leather
accreditation
worker?
process.
So you have to be a leather worker?
You have a leather worker?
A little bit, and you got to make sure, and then you got to be into like curing.
Yeah, you need to be into beef,
Because you gotta-
Curing meats?
beef jerky. Yeah,
Curing beef jerky, beef history man
yeah.
jerky.
His,
'Cause you
history
gotta,
men don't get buried; they get turned into jerky and carried
Sorry,
along
Chris.
as
and
rations.
consumed.
So are all humans just beef jerky? Or is it just history men that take on that flavor?
No,
Well, think
just,
about it.
Just history man. It's the ink.
Correct.
The ink is
Yeah.
also sriracha sauce.
There you
But
go.
how do we get the beef flavor from sriracha sauce?
Don't
Don't
ask
ask
questions that
questions?
you're not ready for, because the
That's the whole
point
point
of
of
this
the podcast.
the
Asking questions.
podcast, not all
You're
of it.
not
you
ready
are-
for
you
that
are in the
knowledge,
answer.
okay?
We're answering. This is the answer section of the question.
If you
And
guys
so
are history
the
men, you
answer
have to
your
show me
question-
your face tattoos right now.
Yeah.
I don't have mine
If we
yet,
were?
but I have the skin of my predecessor.
How far? Jesus.
But when you work with the predecessor skin and you jerkify the
careful.
the meat,
I don't know if you want to
jerkify
jerkify the meat,
yeah.
but that's what the terminology you're
I-
going
but he's
for.
already dead, so it's no problem. So the key here is that the meats are smoked, and that is why you end up with wonderful, delicious history
Yeah.
man jerkified meat
So
Beef-
to
that you must
jerkified.
consume
re- to,
because it's a
to
ceremony.
recap, you have to
Yeah,
be,
okay.
descendant of a Wikipedian or a Wikipedian. You have
Correct.
to have some
Wookie?
Wikipedia.
Did you say
of course.
Wikipedian?
Yeah.
I love it.
And then you have to have some training in obviously reading and writing.
Java.
Java, no. We kill those people. Those are the first ones to go in the apocalypse.
Yeah, they are barred from
Flutter.
being history men.
And then
Flutter.
you have to have some knowledge of tattooing, like
Bookbinding.
You have to, bookbinding, sure. Leather bookbinding, important.
Leather.
Then you have to also
Circa
have some
Gutenberg.
training in anatomy,
Yeah.
Yes.
and you also have to have an FDA approval for having a deli shop, because that's where you
Hey.
store, your predecessors.
The meats.
I just want to check. So Australia has
famous for
Federal
bodegas.
Drug Administration.
They have bodegas there,
And
too.
Bodegas? Yeah. Just checking.
See. Somebody's got to eat.
Yeah.
You have certification in jerkification.
Yes, of course. Yeah. It's part of the FDA approved deli meat owner.
Right. Obviously.
It's a lot of badges. It's a lot of work to
Famously.
fit.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
It's-
work.
it's a
Two-year
life-
two-year course at a community college.
It's a lifetime investment of effort.
Sure.
I thought you were going to say it's a live testing and demonstration.
Also that.
No.
We're not that gross.
Okay.
Come on, we have some
I didn't say
respect here. No, I think that
Review.
answers everything for me. Thank you. Different question.
You're welcome.
Entirely.
Anytime.
We talked about them previously, Scrotus and Rictus.
Yes.
We did.
How did Morton and Joe pick their names when they were born?
So
Did,
Well, poor-
did they just show up like when they were born? Just little scrotums, little penises.
I was gonna say, I think like Scrotus was sort of like a line of sight naming. Like it's like, who's my
On
little
sight.
ball sack? Who's my little ball sack?
Yeah, that's what I want to say.
That's his name. His full name is Scabus Scrotus.
Oh,
I know. I
You
know.
don't want that.
With the face only a father
Could
has
could
to
name a face only a father could name.
Yes.
You know.
But like Rictus, whose full name is Rictus Erectus,
Oh,
just in case we weren't sure.
Sure.
Oh no.
I don't know. Did he look like a little penis when he was born? I guess that would be.
Who's that?
You just look like a little dick.
Yeah, and he grew up to be a big dick.
I mean,
There you go.
I feel like you could come up with that being his nickname, or, as he grows up. That one seems more likely.
Yeah.
Like Chris's one. It's like, when he's like 2, he's like, "Oh, you're such a little dick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna name you Rictus Erectus," right? Like I could see, and it's just like that's his nickname, and his real name's Chet or something.
Well,
Yeah.
clearly, Scrotus is Gord, and
Right.
and
And-
Rictus is Terry. No,
but I just
no
don't
question.
understand.
Terry
It's
Chet.
fine. Chet was a better option, but you didn't
Oh,
want it.
they're
You can
Australian.
keep
Should be one of them needs to be Bruce.
That's fair. But I just don't understand how you get to Scrotus. Like, I understand his face, but it's more like Cro-Magnus or like.
Yeah,
But it's also it's remember
And
it's
the Scabus, yeah.
Scrotus.
So he's just like, he looks like a wrinkly ball sack or a scabby ball sack.
scabby ball
Pretty
sack.
much.
Yeah,
It's like, listen, Scott Gord. I'm going to be real with you. Come sit on
Gord
Daddy's knee.
Mackenzie.
Listen, Gord, Scott McKenzie. Listen, you ain't getting your future is on this path. Okay, you've got a very radio face, my son.
Yeah,
So like,
let's
make
face
sure
made for radio.
we set you up for success. You can oversee all of that. And as far as your brother, don't worry about him. He's got a different problem. He's just a big dick.
Maybe it's a case of, like, many cultures have sort of a naming day where you pick your own name.
Oh, I actually, that makes sense. Those two
And
idiots would pick those names.
Well, I was gonna say though, what if it's like, instead of you picking, it's like your closest friend picks, or
They
like,
picked each other's names?
yeah.
Yeah, I think we're onto
So
something here.
So one guy's like, you look like Dick. I'm gonna call you Rictus Rectus.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, you look like a scabby nutsack.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you.
So I think you're onto something, because I think they do this to prevent people from like screw each other over, because
Yeah.
whoever you pick the name of is gonna pick your name. So they go like, it's a mutually assured destruction thing. So you get some people eater and Immortan
smart
Joe,
people,
right?
Yeah, smart people are like, they pick cool names for their friends, and these guys are fucking morons.
Exactly.
Like, what are
It was
fucking
like,
morons to do?
Oh, I fucking hate you, you scabby scrotum. Like, hey, shut up, you
Yeah.
big dick.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I think that's it. They're just so stupid that they didn't realize that they could,
They were dooming themselves.
Yeah.
Those are the smartest words they can come up with, because it had to be.
Yeah,
Latin.
they were like, it has to be Roman.
It's like, it has to be Rome. It's like, I only know
Ball sack.
Dickus erectus.
I only know ball sack.
I only know ball sack.
Yeah.
And
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Scrotus.
It's almost like they're the Wasteland version of Beavis and Butthead at this
Beavis
point.
and Butthead.
yeah, honestly, now you say it, I can't unsee it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nailed it. Next question. Hey, who's the real hero of Furiosa Mad Max Saga?
Yes. For me, it's easy. It's Furiosa's mother.
But like, everything she does is in vain because her dumbass child comes back and gets caught as she dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't take away from all the hard work she fucking put in. Like,
Okay.
it's
She went out as a champion.
She did. I think she did.
To me,
Sure.
And
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, finish it.
I was just gonna finish with, like, the bar was set based on the movie we saw from, like, the first quarter. The mother was no joke. Went out. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. She had a plan, and this is the bar that was set for Furiosa to reach and hopefully surpass. Right? Like, they had discussions and scenario discussions and training back from the place of abundance. If ever something happens, this is what we do. The rule of no one can know of this place. So, like, the mother's got double duty. I've got to get my daughter back somehow,
Hey,
and I got to make sure these guys
Chris.
don't know. That's it.
Same. Great answer. How do you make it funny instead of serious?
I didn't think it was funny, but yeah.
No, I want it to be funny. Unless that was
So
that was
when
a
the
real
apocalypse
answer.
happened,
There we go. Now we're talking. Let him cook.
You want to say something, Luciano, or
Yes,
should I keep
I
going?
want to get out of
Okay,
this
so when
fucking
the
hell.
apocalypse, don't worry, I can dig it. I
let
can
him
dig us out.
finish.
All right, fine.
The apocalypse happened.
So the apocalypse happened.
Right.
The place of abundance was like on lockdown. And like, listen, Trump got us here. We need to get ourselves out.
Yeah.
This is what we need to do.
I like it.
We have only so much peanut butter and only so much Nutella,
Yeah.
and we have all these peach seeds. What can we do with this?
Right.
And then, like, wow, like, based on the choppy feed, like television feed we're getting from the rest of Australia, it's pretty fucked out there. We need a battle plan. Who is going to lead us?
This
Mother
10-year-old girl.
Furiosa. She's like, that's right. The key to everything is to become invisible. And if you're ever challenged, cut all the pipes. Use your teeth. Don't let them take you, son. Don't let them take you. Valkyrie, I'm looking at you. You keep fucking up. I told you to stay behind me, bitch. You're supposed to be my best friend, and you never listen to me. Shit. They're here. Be invisible. Shit. I gotta climb down and make noise. I'm gonna
run away and climb this wall as slowly as I possibly can.
Making noise.
Yeah.
Shit. Valkyrie, I still see you. Bitch, lay down. Then she gets down there and she's like creeping. And then like all these tactics and stuff she's seen and learned from her mother based on hunting, because the place of abundance is not just a location, it's a valley of opportunity. They have animal and game.
I thought you were going to say the place of abundance isn't a place, it's the friends you made along the way.
It's the place in your heart. Yeah.
And that is why Chris's real answer is the place of abundance is the real hero of this movie.
He's not wrong. To me, the real hero of the story is the organic mechanic.
Oh,
because this is a man practicing medicine at a time where people call doctors organic mechanics. If that's not being a fucking hero, I don't know what else is. Like he does like births. He does like evaluation of purity. He does dentistry, evaluation of dentistry. I guess he looks at fingernails too. Like, man is a multidisciplinary doctor.
He's an esthetician and beautician at the same time.
Yeah, he's the real G in this movie.
Put some respect on that name.
Good enough for me. Moving on.
Valkyrie, get down! Shit!
God damn it! Hey, what skill set do you need to become the Lord of Gastown? We see one Lord of Gastown, excellent painter. He gets captured and he gets spiked in the head. And then Dementis is hired to take over the role. It seems like those two had differing skill sets,
right?
And I just want to know, like, if you know, and even in Fury Road, we see Scrotus has it for a while, and then I think he runs out of options, and he sends the people leader down there to do it. So what is Marjo looking for? But what is his ideal candidate for this job? Is what I'm getting at.
Well, clearly the first thing you need to be is insane. I don't think that there's any argument there.
Okay,
you have to have some sort of mental ailment.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
go ahead, Chris.
So you stopped Chris to say they are mentally ill.
Yes,
that was your big contribution.
Yes.
Holy shit! All right.
My counter to that actually is different, because when you look at Lord 1, he seemed like a cultured, almost servant leader,
chain smoker, giving his beard.
Sure. Doesn't seem like much of a micromanager. Allows for a degree, like, seems like he's fine with a degree of autonomy for the workforce. Whereas with Dementis, he's extremely hands-on, very micromanage, flying by the seat of his pants, trying to build the airplane while it's in the air, if you will.
So you're saying that, the old Guardian of Gastown was a big proponent of servant leadership. Yes. But then Dementis got basically promoted to fail as a manager. He didn't have the skill set, but he was promoted anyway. The Peter principle, if you will. Right? You get promoted up until you get to a point where you're incompetent. That's what happened with Dementis. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's fair.
I do want to have a question. If the first guy was so good, Chris, how come he got captured by Dementis?
Because Dementis has his skill sets are more conducive to hands-on, brutalist,
Right.
Right. So what?
like seek
but
and
what
destroy.
skill? So
They're different. Go on.
you're
Go
saying
on.
that Morton Joe loved the skill set of the original Gaston Guardian.
Yes,
That's all he wanted.
because someone to maintain and not disrupt. Whereas in the hands of Dementis, everything fell apart pretty much. Like it had its own life cycle, but it wasn't run the same, and it wasn't as efficient.
Okay,
So
it
what
didn't
you're
seem
saying, Chris,
as
is that you're
potent.
not answering the question that Matt asked. You're asking another question.
I thought
that
I
you had in your
was.
head.
actually, I'm fine with the answer. But what I want is, what if the answer was funny?
Jesus
not
Christ, man.
real.
So when the apocalypse
There we
happened,
go. Let him cook.
when the apocalypse happened, you see, it's the best trap card ever. When the apocalypse happened, Lord One was a museum curator and also an enthusiastic botanist
Yep.
and closeted mime. And so when you take a mix, this cornucopia of potential and learnedness, the potential is quite astounding, because he's not killing people from what we can see. He's just maintaining and doing his own thing in his little tower.
Right. So
Meanwhile,
the answer here is
mhm,
be into mimes and art. That's the skill
art
set you
and
need.
botany and botany.
Okay, so but why did Immortan Joe think that Dementis was a good replacement then?
Because he's more of a conqueror.
So the complete
One.
opposite of the other guy.
Opposite.
And if he was happy with the first guy, why would he want to change it?
Because he was put in a position that where Immortan Joe had to make a choice. Plus, when you look at the pot was sweetened with another potential bride.
I see.
And like, there's nothing that what's his name, First Lord Gastown, he can't, like, he's fulfilled his role. Change is inevitable. I have to adapt based on the situation. So when the apocalypse happens, you must adapt.
And we're going to adapt out of this question.
Hard left. Valkyrie, goddammit! If I have to tell you one more time.
I don't know
That's
why
an
you're
excellent
harping
segue.
so much on Valkyrie. She didn't get captured.
She's not.
She didn't get captured.
hiding.
Hey, man, this is true. This is a great segue. Valkyrie. Maybe this is your answer. I don't know. The studio's dead set on a prequel to Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. What is this about?
Well,
So it has to be Furiosa
it
Saga?
can't be
It sounds-
Furiosa.
No, it's just it's a prequel from this movie.
yeah. So
From this movie,
Anybody
got it.
in this movie.
So
you know,
much
go
like
backwards.
this is the prequel to a Mad Max movie that isn't about Mad Max.
Mhm.
So the prequel to a Furiosa movie cannot be about Furiosa.
Yeah, that tracks.
So
I think it should be about Dementis.
Okay.
okay.
So Dementis in this story, it shows that this is it's not as the apocalypse happens, right? This is during the apocalypse. So Dementis is the manager of a 7-Eleven
Oh.
in Sydney, no,
Schenectady.
in Perth.
Okay, sure.
In Perth.
Yes.
Great birth. Okay.
And he starts having some like hallucinations of, wearing gauzy coats or gauzy accoutrements.
Cloaks.
Cloaks,
Yes.
thank you.
Very nice.
He also has some quite wet dreams about nipple play.
Dang.
And he starts questioning his sanity. And his original name was Dan Mentis.
Hey.
And
Never saw that
he
coming.
No.
he started thinking, that those must be messages from the aliens that clearly exist, because he obviously believes in them, being an astrologer as well, a hobbyist astrologer.
Was it the Thetans?
No, he cleared them out. That was the first thing that he did. It was it wasn't the Thetans, wasn't the Venusians either. It was someone else. And so this is like a harrowing art house drama about Dan Mentis becoming Dementis. and it's a 4-hour movie shot in black and white, directed by Zack Snyder.
Right, I knew that was coming. 4 hours?
4 hours.
Black and white?
The regular cut, right? The Snyder cut
power.
Yeah.
is like a mini series of like 5 episodes of 6 hours
So,
each.
if I understand correctly, Luciano, you said to me that there's going to be a theatrical release that's about 2 hours, 25 minutes.
No. The theatrical
That is
release is 4
garbage.
hours.
No, but like Zack Snyder can never release anything at 4
Yeah,
hours.
but he got it in this case because it's a Mad Max thing and it makes money.
Why would we give him that?
We wouldn't, but the West Side Boys would.
Well, that's fair. But they already did, and they learned their lesson.
Did they? Do they
Well,
ever?
Netflix is one that hires them next.
Oh shit! Maybe it is Netflix then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll allow it.
Okay. Continue your
Seems like
question.
Completely. No, that's the question. That
Okay.
was the.
Yeah.
I would venture that
The-
a prequel.
Just as a last
prequel-
thing, Chris, the name of the movie
Yeah.
is Den Mentis, a Furiosa Saga.
I hate it.
but he's following the pattern.
Yeah.
He's followed the pattern.
Don't blame me.
I would say that a candidate for this prequel. I was going to go in one direction, but I actually thought about it, and I'm going to go with a Morton Joe
Okay.
because he's now featured twice
Sure.
in these 2 movies. I would like to see all of that fleshed out. I want to know who, what, when, where, why, and like according to the internet, his birth name was Joe Moore. So I think he should be a struggling comic book artist that cannot break into the industry whatsoever, and his work is shat on left and right, but he's a prolific writer. And so the character that he was trying to, or like one of his character titles was a villain focused title, which he would assume as his
Right.
his persona
Called
when
D.
the
Morton,
apocalypse happened.
Called
The
called
Morton.
D. Morton.
It was called.
That's his
it was called
character.
It was called the Morton.
I
Mortal.
see. Morton.
And now he's trying to build a legacy because when
Right.
the apocalypse happened, Valkyrie wouldn't shut her fucking mouth, right? So then he decided to take matters into his own hands. He's like, God damn it, I can't get you children to shut up. When I tell you to eat, keep the food in your mouth and stop chewing with your mouth open, God damn it. So he decides to take it up a notch and to become the legend and emperor that he must be in order to assert his dominance across the lands of the now post-apocalyptic landscape. Enter his modified character, the Immortan.
I see.
Immortan Joe. I guess.
Was the reason that he couldn't break into the comic book market, was it because
Yeah.
his hero, Morton, his superpower was to die?
Pretty much. To die, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, to die,
he
and
thought-
The
was
story
like,
arcs were real short.
Yeah, and he thought it was like
You know,
super
couple
clever
pages.
and like there was no need to retcon anything because he would just die every time.
yeah.
And he was like, this
Just
is
a human
genius,
being
and nobody
with
could see
no
his genius.
other abilities other than to die. And he comes back and he just dies very easily. Think of, you remember the Shyamalan movies, was it Glass? The guy who had that
Yep.
Samuel Jackson's condition
Yep.
with brittle bones?
Yep.
Think that, but even more frail.
Right. And not smart
he
even.
does.
And not super smart either.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
So did you say his name was
Just
Joe
G-
Moore?
Moore. Joe Moore.
Is he
Joe
like the
Moore.
younger brother of Alan Moore?
I wanted to go in that direction, and the answer is
Okay.
yes.
No, I am here for
Great.
this story. Yeah.
I'm going to yield everybody else's time on this.
Wait, you're not gonna give us your prequel?
Who
No,
would you want,
Okay.
though?
no,
Even if you just tell us who.
no, we're not going to do it
Oh.
because everyone is asleep. We're going to review this movie
That's probably fair.
in our standard review stylings of S is the highest, F is the lowest. Chris, what'd you think?
I'll be completely honest when I say, like, I watched the movie today, but last night during the optimal time, the optimal window to watch this movie, I didn't want to watch this movie. I chose to watch Shin Ultraman, and I enjoyed myself very much.
Cool.
And then I was like, I'll watch this movie I'll fit it in, and I did.
How
fit
kind of you to make time for this podcast. We do.
Yeah, every
it.
week.
I did make time every week, but
Did you
motherfuckers, I got
watch it
years
in,
on this
like,
with the rest of y'all too.
2-speed or 2x speed or?
That's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about
So yes,
is whether people should, you don't get to answer for me, whether people should watch this or not. If you liked Fury Road, you're not going to like this movie. My rating, point blank, keep it real and 100, D. Like, I was disappointed. I
Little D or mid D?
Little D gets the S rank.
Yeah.
Middle D gets the D rank.
Right. Mid D. I got
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
D for disappointed.
sure.
Yeah.
And so when you've got absolutely nothing else to do, I encourage you to find something else to do. And then
That
keep it
description
moving.
makes it feel like an F, if we're honest.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Now it is an F, actually. But Little D, she gets an S rank.
Okay.
Everything was
Wait,
fine
what-
So
until
is it a D?
averages out to a D.
Oh, okay.
that's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You're right, but I'm also right. And that's why we readjusted.
I mean, these are all your own rankings. Luciano, what did you got?
I've worked with the letters.
I think the only sane thing that Chris said in his entire review was that if you liked Fury Road, you're not gonna like this movie. Now, notoriously, I wasn't that big of a fan of Fury Road. I didn't hate it,
Correct.
but I would like I didn't.
Sounds like you did.
I didn't. No, I didn't. But I did. Like
You did.
people were like super hyped about it, and it was like, "Oh, this is great! This is amazing!" I was like, it's fine." So conversely, I actually did enjoy this movie. Wanted to enjoy it more, but I couldn't because I mean, all the
Sucks.
the last hour and a half, basically. That's why.
Jesus.
So, but like, I didn't really super hate it. I was actually more entertained with like the action scenes in this movie, as nonsensical as some of them were, than I was with the first movie. So, is it a good movie? No. Do I regret watching it? Actually, no. So I would not watch it again, though. So it's a solid C for me. Which, by the way, would have been
Solid.
the same thing I would have given Fury Road.
So you liked it the same. Great work. I am also going to give it a D, but for, I guess, very different reasons from Chris. I think the story just skipped a lot of stuff and it was kind of boring because it trapped itself into corners. But I think that the action set pieces and his stylized, the music and the stylized way he shows like the cars driving and things happening still hits. So that's why it's not an F. It's just a D because the action's fun. You can skip.
Chris Hemsworth.
He's great, and you can skip everything else in between, essentially. So I'm going to give it a solid mid D for reasons.
What
that
is
I
a
described.
mid D?
This movie
You
is.
challenged me. You challenged.
Yeah.
You challenged my ratings.
I,
And now you have.
and answer the question with
Interesting.
this movie is a mid D.
Is this the same answer as like when the apocalypse happened?
When the apocalypse happens, this is a mid D.
Yeah, I know. Okay, that story checks out. There's nothing
Checks
you
out.
can do.
So next week, very special, exciting
yeah,
event. Popcorn and plot holes are going to the source of the popcorn and potentially the plot holes. We're going to the theater to watch
Sounds
Deadpool and Wolverine.
hey,
yeah.
So we're going to spoil the shit out of it right away.
yeah.
So you might want to, download it and, listen to it before you go to the movies and make sure you know what's going to happen immediately.
Yes, spoil yourself out of
Listen to the
movie.
podcast while watching Deadpool.
Yeah. Don't let the
Wolverine.
movie get spoiled by watching the movie. We'll tell you what's going to happen
Yes.
first so you know what to avoid.
We are
During
we
the
are going
movie.
to
Yeah.
record it as we watch it as well. We rented the entire movie theater just for the
We did.
four of us.
Yep.
And it's going to be a live cast more than the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All of what I said and nothing what Luciano said is correct. So
Correct.
we're going to watch it and then record a podcast about it. So be excited. Special event.
Yeah.
Wolverine or Deadpool and Wolverine. God, I hope it doesn't suck.